guys, I wanted to do a second update regarding Robbie and his current treatment program and kind of where he's at now. If you would like to see my updates regularly, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I will be posting updates periodically. So the big thing for me is that I thought the polygraph was really clear and that they asked specific questions to eliminate the grandmother's boyfriend as a suspect. Although Robbie and I did have a conversation on the phone today, and he still denies any wrongdoing from the grandmother's boyfriend, I still have obviously concerns and questions surrounding that relationship. But I kind of wanted to go over what was the results of the polygraph, because some people have asked me what the red flags were, and I was unaware of some of the red flags. So I wanted to go over kind of what I found out from the actual polygraph. I'm not going to disclose everything, as some of it I feel is unnecessary and private, but for other people who are kind of looking to see what happened in his childhood, to understand why he might be the way he is, I think that the polygraph did a good job with that. So it does show in the polygraph that he did only have the 2 victims, and that he was around age 10 when that happened, and his victims were around ages 8 and 9 at the time. The abuse occurred in his biological mother's home, and since then he has not had any other victims. But the thing that was the most shocking for me was the reason he picked the victims. At his biological mother's house, they did not have any doors on the home, so when his victims were over, they were playing dress up, and he was spying on them dressing up, and so that's how he ended up picking his victims, was based off of the fact that there was children in her home at the time who were playing dress up, and he saw it as free game. He also said that the way he offended was based off of his stepdad giving him the materials, and so he went with those materials, and that's what he used to violate his victims. Also, he has had 0 contact with his victims since the abuse occurred and since he's been charged, so that's important to know, good to know. And he will never have contact again with those victims. Also, from his own perspective, with his childhood, some things that I was unaware of until reading the polygraph. Apparently, he's noted in here that he learned about sex by viewing pornography at his biological mother's house, and I had thought it was only going on at the end or whatever, and it was going on apparently longer than I knew it was going on. He said at the age of 7, he started to explore his own body, we'll say, for appropriateness, and he felt that he did it in excess around 2 to 3 times a day. So that's a huge red flag to kind of be aware of. I did not know he was looking at pornography at that age, and he also did not know that that's when he began exploring himself. There's also something that has not been brought to light at all, but he did find animals attractive, and in our home, I had noted he was inappropriate towards the family dog, and there's some speculation and question around his fantasies of bestiality. It's also noted that he's had no public sexual encounters or anything of that sort, but that he did create a social media account where he did try to solicit to adults. And so a grown man, apparently, he was in contact with, he sent a nude photo to this man. And so I cannot stress, in this house, we do not allow our children to have social media. We do not allow our children to have cell phones. They do not get free roam on their electronic devices. This makes me so angry. So at his biological mother's house, he made an account and was allowed to be on this social media account. And so he used that account to solicit himself for sex to adults. And that, for me, finding that out makes me so angry, because it's exactly why I protect my kids and exactly why we don't give them like free roam to the internet. So that makes me really mad. And then it says when he first started viewing porn, he was around the age of 8 years old. I had no idea he had been viewing porn. So I came into his life, he was roughly 9 years old. So he actually had started viewing porn prior to me entering his life. And again, all of it's noted that it happened at his biological mother's house. So when she was passed out high in her bedroom, he was on her cell phone and he was looking at porn. It is noted that when he was in our home, I had installed a new TV in the man cave. I had made my husband a surprise man cave, and I wasn't aware of smart TVs, but something, he went down there and he figured out how to get on the smart TV, and then he looked up porn on that television. I'm not one that my children get away with much, so I actually found out about it, and he said he'd only done it the one time. So I shut that down immediately, and then I had to look up and figure out how to disable the smart TV from being able to connect to the internet and to YouTube. I didn't really know that that was a thing, so I totally accept accountability on that, because I didn't know that televisions became basically computers. It might have been good if I would have read the box, but I didn't really think TVs had changed that much over the years. Apparently, I'm not young anymore, and I feel like I'm not hip anymore. I really don't know electronics all that well. It also says he only sent the one nude photo to the one man, and that he's never done anything since. But it also talks about how he used to intentionally go on bicycle rides and stuff at his biological mother's house, so that he could masturbate in public. So that's also a huge concern and a huge red flag. So keep an eye on your kids when they're here. One of our rules is our kids never are allowed to go on a bicycle ride alone. It's just not safe, and you don't know who could hurt them, or or what they could get into. And when kids are free to roam, I just feel like there's a lot of potential. So that's also really upsetting. But I found out a lot of information through reading through this, but I did find it interesting that specifically the questions that were asked regarding the grandparent, they kind of blew over it, and there was no real conclusion on. He answered no to, besides your identified victims, have you ever had any other victims? He said no. He passed that question. Have you engaged in any type of sexual behavior that you're trying to keep secret? He said no. He passed that question. He was also asked if he's ever explored himself while having thoughts of a young child, I believe. Hold on. Sorry, I turned the page too fast. And he said no, and he passed that question. But when I asked him, he's told me straight out that yes, he does think about young children. So now it makes me question the whole validity of this entire test, because and he was also asked if he withheld any information regarding pornography, and he said no, and he passed that question. But for me, he has told me personally that he has had thoughts about younger children and his younger siblings when he masturbates, or when he explores himself, sorry. So for me, if he's able to get that question and say no when he's already admitted to me, I do kind of question the validity of it, and I would love to talk to the examiner, but since we don't technically have custody of him and the courts do, it makes it a little bit tricky. Also, something that's been on my mind that's making me extremely upset is I found out today that the therapist who's there has decided to allow him to mail a letter trying to form a relationship with the grandma's boyfriend. I am so angry. And I was like, okay, but his parole officer clearly said he's not allowed to have a relationship or contact them, but the therapist said there's not a specific court order that prohibits contact. So now I'm going to have to figure out the next step in this broken system. So we talk about the broken system a lot. So the next step, now I'm going to have to try to get a judge to write something down on paper that there's to be no contact, a no contact order. So this is now turned into, again, a broken system who is allowing a child to manipulate the system, and they're just basically saying, oh, you want to do that? Okay, go ahead and do that. It's extremely frustrating. I'm going to continue to advocate for him and the healthiness of the relationship. Him and I talked about it today. He said he just really wants somebody to accept him for him, and since me and my husband won't accept like who he is for what he is, that he just really wants to like reconnect with that person because that person always accepted him for who he was. And I said, it's not that we don't accept you for who you are. We just don't accept the bad parts of you. We don't accept that you want to hurt children, and we don't accept that you think your behaviors are not detrimental to another human being. We will never support that. And then he got mad and he said that, well, you guys won't let me be in the house or part of the family anymore. You guys have basically kicked me out of the family. And I said, you are not going to project your problems onto me. You created this problem. You molested your victims. You got charged. And you have openly admitted that you wanted to rape your siblings. I said, that is your actions. Those are your thoughts. They are a danger. And you cannot be in this household. I said, unfortunately, you were charged and you can never be in this household again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you lived the life that you did. And I'm sorry that those mistakes happened, but they happened. So I'm working towards getting him to accept responsibility and understand that you can't just pop back into the family and everything's going to be okay. It's not realistic, and I'm not one to be unrealistic. I'm a very logical thinker. And so for me, it's just frustrating because he is now contacting this man who potentially abused him, and the therapist is allowing it. And I just feel very frustrated and a bit hopeless in regards to the situation, but I'm giving it to God like I always do, and I am just gonna pray so hard. So if any of you feel like praying for something, just pray that this person does not reach back out to him and that there's not a established relationship, and that my son can continue to heal and not seek out somebody who's going to enable him versus taking the help and actually putting in the work. And I explained to him how much we love him and how we'll still have a relationship. It just won't be like a family Christmas. It'll be like a mommy, daddy, Robbie Christmas. And then we'll have a different Christmas with all the other kids. And I know that that hurts him. I know. Like, I feel terrible. But this is the situation we're in. This is it's our reality. Like, there's nothing I can do. But I just wanted to update you guys and kind of share that information because so many of you have told me that I needed to get a hold of a copy of the actual lie detector, and that there's potential that he could like actually believe his lies, or because he's like not empathetic that he would just be able to pass it. And now I definitely have questions regarding the validity, and I don't know. I'm just a little overwhelmed, and I just wanted to give an update. But okay, guys. I'm going to jump off of here. I just wanted to update you. Again, if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel so that you can get updates. We, as always, appreciate the love and support so much. You guys have been incredible. Honestly, this has been the most therapeutic thing in the entire world for me because I've had more positive comments than negative. And those who do leave negative comments, I've really just tried to ignore them and kind of blow over it because I'm not going to give them any power over my emotions. And I know that I should do things out of love and not hate. And so I try really hard not to pay them attention and come from an unloving place with a response. So thank you, everyone, so much. We love you. Again, we'll update whenever we know more information. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.